I generally dislike the guy, but I now straight up hate him. And can't get my head around the fact my sister listened to him. They had messages to evacuate hours before, and were ignoring them. We were all telling them to leave. My sister always defers to him. She kept saying that he's certain the fires aren't going to reach them because the wind was blowing the other way. It's strange. It's like she's brainwashed. In the middle of the night the fire reached their home, and they took the kids and fled, leaving their dogs behind. My sister wanted to take them, but he didn't let her. They've not found them yet, though they haven't found bodies either. Their house burnt to the ground. I can never say anything about that man, because my sister defends him to death, and I'm afraid of being cut off from the children's lived. I love them very much, but I honestly feel like I hate the man now. Has anyone been in a similar situation? Is this behavior normal? Am I being too judgmental? Update: the dogs have been found alive. Firefighters broke them out yesterday as they had left them inside the house. They returned to the site this afternoon. It sounds like unfortunately your sister is in an abusive relationship. Telling her how much you don't like Bill or how terrible his actions were probably won't work while she's in this deep. Maybe just try to keep in contact and tell her that you were very worried for her and the kids, and she always has a safe space with you. There are definitely online resources for supporting relatives in potentially abusive situations that could give better advice than me. He is definitely emotionally abusive and controlling. Occasionally when he's being a particularly big she calls me and tells me things, but I'm always a bit reserved in how much I can say because I'm worried she'll cut me off. He stopped her from practicing medicine and cut her off from her friends, and so she's now dependent on him financially and socially. She doesn't see any of that. If someone ever didn't let me get my dogs, they would be out of my life. What a shame. They'd be lucky I didn't kill them first. He sounds like a waste of flesh. Those poor dogs. Yes, I hope they are rehomed. Leaving them is atrocious, but locked in the house. That's evil. Make an anonymous CPS report. Commenting to push this up. Please do this. Animal abuse too. I'm glad the dogs are alive, but they won't be next time. Your bill is an A** to be sure. When an evacuation goes from advisory to mandatory, at least in Cali, it becomes a *JAILABLE* offense to remain behind. If someone is making this choice for yourself as an adult, that's one thing, but to keep your kids in place in a mandatory evac is bonkers. I'm guessing they were only ignoring the advisory evac, otherwise it's likely that their home would have been visited and cleared before they felt like getting out. Advisory evacuations do not indicate immediate jeopardy. They're an attempt to get the skittish people to leave early so the roads aren't so congested if a mandatory evac is called. But the dog thing, wowie wow. Kidnap those dogs and rehome them. By not evacuating when they were warned to, your bill didn't just endanger your sister or their kids' lives, or their dogs' lives. ****, he also endangered the firefighters' lives. They shouldn't have had to break into a burning building to save his animals. Most of our wildfire fighting resources go into protecting people's property and saving the idiots that refuse to leave when told to. For the mega fires we are now constantly experiencing, it is far safer for firefighters to work on containment lines on the periphery and far more dangerous for them to have to go deep into the burn areas to save people, pets, and property. People who regularly experience wildfires and hurricanes and the like can develop this sense of invincibility because they've survived so many bad ones before. But that's a false sense of security. A level 2 hurricane can kill you. The floodwaters can get you. A 100-acre fire can still kill you if you decide to stay within those 100 acres. Your bill is a fucking idiot. Maybe you can get someone from the fire department to shame him. In certain areas, California, British Columbia, you face fines and possible imprisonment if you refuse to follow mandatory evacuation orders. With any luck your bill will get in serious legal trouble. Fingers crossed. I literally cannot imagine leaving dogs locked inside a home knowing a wildfire was headed directly to them. That is horrific. I don't have words. My god. Those poor terrified dogs. Such a cruel, heartless act. I'm stunned. This is definitely abusive. This man is a monster. It's really difficult to get someone to see they're in an abusive relationship and then get them to leave when they realize it. Stay in contact and support her, but continue to give her perspective on his actions and behaviors. I've been taught my entire life to worry about the humans first, with the addition to leave the doors open so the pets can bolt out. The real struggle is tornado warnings when the pets won't come to you and it's dangerous to leave shelter. Everyone in the family needs to save Sil, kids and dogs. He is a pose and an idiot. You never wait until the last minute. WTF is wrong with him? Your sister is just as stupid. I would have taken the kids, the dogs, and said we are out. They need to have the dogs taken away from them. They are the worst pet owners ever. They needs to be blacklisted from every shelter, rescue, and breeder within a 100-mile radius. Mayo, he wouldn't let her take them. I'd punch someone in the throat if they told me to leave my animals to burn. You gotta get those dogs. He locked the dogs in a damn tinderbox for no reason. I'd be worried for my sister and nephews lives right now more than I'd be mad at him. It sounds like your sister is in a TB, trauma bond, relationship. The emotional attachment, known as a trauma bond, develops out of a repeated cycle of abuse, devaluation, and positive reinforcement. I'd recommend nudging her in the direction of divorce as clearly, this man does not have the best interests of his own family at heart. As much as many say violence is not the answer, being the third out of 6 with my sister, being the youngest and only girl in the family, if this was a situation on my life first I'd personally go get her and the kids out of harm's way and I'd go back and handle him myself. Would have been a tragic story of him being asleep while the fire ravaged their home, and I guess he was just too tired to wake up. In addition to everything else that's been said, it's relevant to note that this fool also put the lives of firefighters at risk. Give your sister the number to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 800-799-7233, or fairhotline.org, https://fairhotline.org. Stay connected to her, keep letting her know that you will be there for her. Good luck. I will keep her in my thoughts. Anyone who would leave their dogs like that to suffer a horrific death is a terrible fucking human being. Your sister should leave her. Perhaps you can gently tell her she and her kids deserve better than someone who would do something like that. Is this fake? How did they find the dogs alive if they were left in the house and it burnt to the ground? Then firefighters broke the door at dawn when the fire had reached the property. The dogs ran out. They put the fire under control and moved to the school next door. When my bill arrived the next day their wooden ceiling was still slowly burning. There was no fire on the grounds, but the house was still slowly burning. He just sat there and let it burn till the firefighters returned in the evening. He left when they arrived. They returned the next day with my sister. That's when the dogs returned. The house has 2 floors. One is underground. That didn't burn. The ground floor burnt completely. Good news about the dogs. It's hard to judge someone for not wanting to leave their home. My apartment caught fire years ago while I was out with friends. When I came home I ran into the flaming building to save my stuff. It was crazy of me to do as I was literally running in a burning building that I couldn't save anything in. No one judged me who saw what I did, and no firefighters even believed I went in there when I ran out lol. That's a bit different. Spur of the moment versus decision to be stupid. As someone who grew up in wildfire country, I understand there's a fine line of we should go and let's wait a bit ESPW traffic, but this put the whole family in danger and the firefighters trying to work on the fire, which is unacceptable all around. I have a family member like this. She will never leave, and the more you try to point out what an asshole her husband is, the more she defends him. I gave up on her last year and gave up the idea of ever being close to her kids. It sucks, but until the victims decide they've had enough, there's nothing you can do to get them to stand up for themselves. I'm still lurking though, cause the minute that man does something abusive towards the kid I'm reporting him. He's abused my family member multiple times, and I've called the police just for her to defend him. It sucks. But no, you're not being judgmental. I hope your sister takes this as an eye-opener and leaves someday soon, cause they cold all died. The proper response is to send the wife Kids, dogs away while I stay to protect the house as best as possible. I'm going down with my ship. This line of thinking is what leads firefighters to risk their lives attempting to rescue dumb homeowners from certain death. Your house is just a house. It's not worth putting lives in danger. So yeah, run into a burning building. That's a great idea. Let me know how that works out for ya. A wife should support her husband over her sister, generally speaking. But if I get ever caught as I'm packing up and leaving as soon as possible. I've been very close once, and we started packing before an order was sent just in case it did. In this case I'd suggest not burning bridges with your sister, so you can stay in the kids' lives. Put on a happy face when you see him. My ex's dad is a complete douche who cheated on her mother while she was pregnant. But I was always cordial during family gatherings, knowing I only had to deal with him occasionally. I never even would chit chat with him. Just smile, shake hands, and engage with the others. This makes me very angry at your sister and her husband. Thank goodness the fireman saved them. Poor pups.